Hello, St. Anthony first graders and second graders. I'm combining your video again this week. So this video is for both first grade and second grade. This video is our art lessons for the week of October 12th. I'm actually recording this on Friday, October 16th, and you will be turning this lesson in to either Mrs. Patterson or Mrs. Wetzel by Tuesday, October 12th. If you get it done and you want to turn it in on Monday, that's fine. Or you can wait and turn it in on Tuesday, October 12th. Again, this is our lesson for the week of October 12th. So this was what you're doing for this week. So we're going to start learning about another art element. And I think I've talked to you before about art elements. Art elements are those basic things that an artist can use to make their artwork. The 6 art elements are actually line, color, shape, form, texture, and value. And we have talked a lot about lines and colors and shapes, so you guys are starting to know quite a bit about those art elements. But now we're going to start learning about value. Value is another art element. Now, you might have heard the word value when people were talking about how much something is worth, how much something costs. A lot of times we hear the word value and it's associated with money, or we think about money when we hear the word value. But in art, the word value has nothing to do with money. It's not about how much a piece of artwork is worth or how much a piece of artwork costs. The word value has nothing at all to do with money. What it has to do with an art is light and dark. And if we can use something called shading to make some of our things dark and some of our things light, then we are using value. So you're going to be learning how to shade today, and you're also going to be learning how to use different values, different shades going from dark to light. We're practicing on what we're doing today. I don't expect this to be perfect. Part of it is a little bit tricky. So we're just practicing. And what you're going to need to do is to do your practice and just turn it into your teacher. If you practice this and you turn it into your teacher with your name on it, then you will have gotten a good grade. You will have done what you're supposed to do for this assignment. I'm not looking for any perfect drawings this time. We're doing practice exercises just to kind of help us learn about shading and value. Now later on we may do a project where we use value and shading, but this assignment is a practice. So you do your very best, you bring it back to school with your name on it, and then you will have shown me that you've done what you need to do for this art lesson. Your teachers gave you 2 pieces of paper like this. It's a little bit smaller than our normal paper. And the reason you have 2 is so that you can practice twice, and then you can just bring your best one back to school. You don't have to bring them both back unless you want to. But if you do 2 practices, then you can pick out the one that you feel you did the best on. Remember, again, you can start and stop the video. If you have a question or you need to watch something again, just hit that rewind button and you can rewatch it. Or you can pause it and complete something and then start it again and move on. But you need to find those 2 pieces of paper that were sent home with you. They're smaller than normal. These are only 6 by 9. We usually get 9 by 12. So these are about half the size of what we normally get. You're also going to need a pencil, just a regular pencil, and a small cup or glass. A plastic cup would probably be better, but it needs to be a smaller one. We're just going to use this to trace some circles. If it's too big, the circles won't fit on our paper. So kind of a smaller circle or lid or something that you can trace to make a small circle. And then also one of these. This is a Q-tip, and we're going to use this Q-tip when we're doing some shading. If you don't have Q-tips like this, a Kleenex would work. If you don't have a Q-tip or a Kleenex, your finger will work for what we're going to do. We're going to actually use this to do something called blending. All right? So you need your paper, a pencil, a small circle to trace, either a Q-tip, tissue, or your paper. All right? So we're going to do something a little bit different than we normally do. You guys remember usually the very first thing I have you do is write your name on your paper, and I always want you to write it neatly so I can read it. Well, today we're going to actually put our circles on the paper before you put your name on there, because I want to make sure we have enough room for the circles. So if you take that lid that you found, or cup that you found that you can trace to get a small circle, you're going to need that. I'm going to tilt the camera down here a little bit so you can see what I'm doing, hopefully. And I'm just going to take my circle and I am going to trace it 3 times. 1. Then I'm going to move it over. 2. And 3. And it's okay if they're not perfect circles. This is a learning exercise. All right? After I have traced my 3 circles, I'm going to write my name above the circles. Okay. So I have something that looks like this. I've written my name. I traced my 3 circles first, and I tried to get them in a row. I tried to make them all fit. It's okay if yours aren't in a row. As you got 3 circles on there, that's good. But I put my name on the same side as the circles. We're going to do something different on this side. So I really need to make sure that you have your name and your 3 circles on the same side. So we're going to learn how to use our pencil to make different values. How to use this pencil to get some really, really dark shading, and how to get some really gray, medium shading, and what we're going to do to have really light shading. When we use a pencil to shade, the way that we can make things darker is by pressing a little harder with our pencil. So when I'm making my really dark areas, I'm going to push super hard with my pencil. Not hard enough to break it, but pushing pretty hard. And I also may have to fill something in more than one time. I might fill in, shade in, or color in with my pencil this whole circle, and then have to go back and do it again to get a little darker. We're not using crayons. We're using a regular pencil, so make sure you have a regular pencil to do this. So on my 3 circles, I want this first one to be my very darkest. So I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to fill in that circle, pushing hard with my pencil. And you'll notice we've talked before about when we color with a crayon, we want to use it in a circle and let our wrist and fingers do all the work instead of going real scratchy and scribbly like this. So I'm using it in a circle, and I'm pushing down harder because I want this to be really, really dark black. And it may take me a minute to get this all filled in. Okay. But I'm just going to keep going, pressing harder, harder, really pushing it down hard because I want it to be really black. Now I'm trying to stay inside the circle. I'm going slowly and carefully, filling it in as best I can. Pushing it down really hard. When you're doing really black areas, sometimes your fingers may kind of start to hurt a little bit. If they do, just stop and take a break and then go back and fill it in, pushing down as hard as you can without breaking your pencil. We don't want to push so hard that we break our pencil, but we're pushing down. We're putting a lot of pressure on that pencil. Okay. Now, if you look, it's pretty dark, right? It's looking pretty black. But I still got some little white specks in areas in places, and there's still some places I could get it even darker. So I may take my pencil and go over it one more time. Again, I'm going to push hard, and I'm going to go over it. I'm going to get it as nice and black as I can get that circle by pushing hard with my paper on my pencil, giving it a lot of pressure. Remember to go in that circle, letting my wrist and fingers do the work, and then back. Okay. So I did some very dark shading. This is called shading. I shaded that circle in very dark. It's really, really dark and black, isn't it? So after you've got that circle as black as you can get it, I want you to write the word black under it. B-L-A-C-K. So black is our darkest value. Okay? Black is our darkest value. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move to the next circle. And I want to see if I can use my pencil, the same pencil, to make gray. Here it made a lot of black. Here I want to make it gray. And the way I'm going to make it gray is by not pushing hard on my pencil. For black, we wanted to really push down hard and put a lot of pressure on our pencil. For gray, we don't want to do that. For gray, we're still going to use that circle motion. We're not going to go scratchy and scribbly like this, but we're not going to push hard. We're just going to let the pencil kind of rest in our fingers. And when I fill this one in, I am just going to push gently on that pencil because I want to see if I can get it really light. Still going in that circle, but not pushing down on the pencil hardly at all. Keeping it really soft, not pushing hard. And again, this is a practice assignment. We're not really drawing a picture here. We're just learning how to use our pencil to shade right now. This is a practice. It's a learning thing. Okay, I want to make sure I get it all filled in, but I'm not pushing down. I'm just barely letting that pencil rest in my hand, and I'm going real lightly. Lightly, lightly, lightly. Okay. So looky there. I was able to use exactly the same pencil, and I got a really black, and then by not pressing hard, I got gray. You can tell a big difference between the black and the gray, right? My black and my gray do not look like the same. This is really black. This is gray. So you're getting that gray by not pushing down hard. You make the black by putting more pressure, pushing down a little harder on your pencil. So when I get these back from your practice, I want to be able to tell the difference between black and gray. One should look black, one should look gray. They shouldn't both look really dark. This one should be much lighter. So I'm going to write the word gray underneath there. G-R-A-Y. So this is my black value. This is my gray value. Now, This next circle is going to be really easy. We're not going to do anything to it. We're just going to leave it white. And underneath, I'm going to write the word white. W-H-I-T-E, white. Okay? So now I've got three different values. Black, gray, and white. So for white, all I have to do is leave the white of the paper. So with this pencil, this one pencil, I made three different values. Push hard for black, push light for gray, don't push at all for white. Just leave it alone. Okay? So that's the first part of this practice. Now we're going to do one more practice thing on the back of the paper. Artists use shading so they can make things in their drawings look not flat. My black circle and my gray circle and my white circle all look flat. But now on the back, we're going to try to do a circle that doesn't look flat. Things that are not flat are what we call three-dimensional. It's either flat or it's three-dimensional, not flat. So we're going to make a circle on here, on this side, and we're going to try to make it look three-dimensional, not flat. Now that's going to be tricky because we got a flat piece of paper, and we're going to make a circle that doesn't look flat. It's going to actually look like it's rounded, like a ball. We're going to use our shading and our values to make that happen. So I'm going to turn my paper over. Bring the camera down here so you can see again. I'm going to turn my paper over. That circle that I used on the other side, I'm just going to trace one right in the middle. Okay. So if you got a lid or a cup that you can trace, I want you to do that. Okay. Again, it's okay if it's not a perfect circle. Okay. But here's my circle. Just traced it in the middle. So I'm going to see if I can make this three-dimensional. So that means it's going to have some dark areas, some gray areas, and some white areas, and they're all going to have to be in the right place. So the first thing I'm going to do, and I'll bring it down so you can see, is I'm going to make kind of a moon shape on one side of the circle. Okay. So if I hold it up again, do you see that moon shape that I made inside the circle? I'm going to color that in, or excuse me, not color it in, I'm going to shade that in really black. So I'm going to hold onto my pencil, I'm going to push down tightly, and I'm going to shade that in really black. Pushing down hard. Got to try to stay inside my lines. Trying to get it as black as I can get it. Might have to go over it twice. Okay. And now I'm going to hold it up again. So I got kind of a black moon inside my circle, don't I? Pushed hard with my pencil and filled that moon in. Now I'm going to make a skinnier moon over here. Okay, so this moon is a little skinnier, isn't it? This one's whiter, this one's skinnier. So I'm going to take my pencil And I'm going to shade in that Skinny Moon really black. Really trying to stay inside my lines and color it in nice and black. So now on my circle, I've got a little bit fatter black moon, and on the other side, I've got a little bit darker moon. So I got one of my three values. I've got my black value all done on my ball. But I got to get a gray value in there now. So this is what I'm going to do. I made kind of a little stripe by the fat moon, didn't I? Started at the top of the circle, came all the way down. So there's kind of a little stripe there by the dark moon. And I'm going to fill that in with a gray value. So this time, when I'm filling in the gray value, remember I'm not going to push very hard. I'm going to keep it real light. Still going to kind of go in that circle, but I'm going to keep it really light. Got to be able to tell a nice difference between my gray and my black. Okay, so there's my gray. All right, now I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to draw a line that makes kind of a stripe on the other side. Do you see that line that I drew right there? Okay, and this stripe is going to be a gray value also. So I'm going to fill it in. Not going to push very hard. Bring it down so you can see here. Trying to keep it nice and light. Okay. Alright, so now I've got another gray value. So if I hold it up, black value, gray value, white value. I'm not going to do anything in this part. I'm going to leave it white. Gray value, black dark value. So just like we did on the circles on the back, black, gray, white. I've got all three of those on my ball. Black, gray, white. But you know what? It doesn't really look three-dimensional yet. It doesn't really look like a round ball yet. Kind of looks like a striped circle, doesn't it, a little bit? But here's how we're going to make it really look three-dimensional. You're going to take that Q-tip or a Kleenex or your finger if you don't have either a Kleenex or a Q-tip. And we're going to blend these together. We're going to kind of rub the gray and the black together, the gray and the white together to make this look more three-dimensional. So I'm going to lay my paper down where you can see. I'm going to take my Q-tip and I'm going to start kind of blending these together. I still got to keep my Q-tip inside, but I can still kind of start to blend this all together. Just kind of rubbing it together. And you might even sometimes take your pencil and just kind of smooth that out a little bit. And go back to my Q-tip or my Kleenex. Kind of do some more shading. Okay, and you can see by shading this, blending it and shading it, it begins to look more like a three-dimensional ball. Okay, so that's what you're going to practice for me today. 3 circles. You're going to practice pushing hard to get a black value. You're going to practice with pushing lightly to get a gray value. You're just going to make a shape to get a white value. And then we're going to see if you can follow those directions and get a black value, a gray value, and a white value inside the circle. And then you're going to take that Q-tip or Kleenex and practice blending to make it look three-dimensional. Okay? Now, you've got 2 pieces of paper, so you can practice this twice. Okay? You're going to practice it twice. You're going to turn into Mrs. Patterson or Mrs. Wetzel, the one that you feel you did the best on. Now remember, this is practice. We're not trying to be perfect here. This is just practice. When I get this back from you, I'm going to look to see, did you practice? Did you practice pushing hard in one circle, practice pushing lightly in another circle, and left one circle white? Did you practice getting black, gray, and white inside the ball? And did you practice blending it together? Okay. Remember, our name, our name should already be on the back. Make sure your name is there, and you're going to bring it back to school by Tuesday, October 20th. I hope you have fun with values and practicing shading and blending, and I hope to see you back at school soon. But until then, I'll see you back on YouTube again. Bye.